One of the hardest things that we're going to have to understand as alienated parents is what the reunification process looks like. And there's a whole bunch of information on what's wrong with parental alienation, why it's bad for people, why it's bad for the kids, but there's not a lot of information on what you need to do legally to beat it and that hard, difficult road, and the reality of what reunification looks like. And I have a lot of videos on the legal process and more to come, and different portals for you to join for that. But what I want to talk about here is how difficult it is to reunify. Now, where this comes from is from 17 or 18 years of having a group of men who this has happened to. This happened to me. It was horrible. I will say that probably the hardest part about it is the reunification, and that might just be my own filter, but this is also a common thing that a lot of us guys talk about who this has happened to. But a good way to look at it is that it's just different, it's arduous, it's a very difficult job. And in order to go through all of this, I want to break it down into different points. Point number one is how difficult this is for the kids. So this is horrible for you, and I get that. I've lived through it. I take guys through it every single day for I don't know how many years at this point, but every day I'll spend 2 to 12 hours working with men who are going through this. I get how difficult it is for men and women, moms, dads. I mainly work with men, and the problems around men are unique to it, but they're also unique to women, and it's not one better than the other. That's just how it worked out for my teaching. Hopefully, if you're a mom, you can get something out of this. For you, it is terrible, but you had a foundation of dealing with stress, problems, difficulties, unfairness, tragedies that may have been good or bad. I don't know how you grew up, but you already have a field-tested approach for that. You have more choice in it of what to do, how to handle this, how to regulate in it. When a child is being alienated, their whole experience of every new bond of trust, every time they get excited on a new level, they have experiences of love or tragedy or pain or suffering, that's going to be filtered through this horrible experience of toxicity of parental alienation. And while this is all happening, the alienated parent most likely is unaware that they're doing something really harmful. They think they're doing God's work and all these different things. And we can get really caught up in how unfair that is, and it totally is. I don't want to diminish that in any way. We could get caught up in how much pain we're in. We could get caught up in what a horrible person the other parent is. But here's the thing, if we're a parent, and let's say if our parent got sick with a fatal illness, our job would be to do whatever it took to get that child better, whether we could do it or not, and that's a lot of pressure, right? Here we have something where your ex who did something to damage you is doing something that's causing infinite more damage to the child. Okay, so you've got to understand that. And the reason why I bring this up as the first point is to every dad who gets reunified with his kids after a 6-month period or 10-year period almost instantly realizes this crazy shift. Like, let's say for 5 years or something like that, they've been going through this horrible pain of not seeing their kid, and it's fundamentally changed them, and it's made them crazy. It makes you crazy. I mean, you're supposed to. You lost your kids, and you're being painted as a horrible person within that. Once they see how different their children are, and that's frustrating in itself, it is almost instant to realize, oh my God, this affected them way more. I have a whole new battle ahead of me, okay? The sooner you could at least trust in what I'm saying here is how much this is affecting your kids, the more you're gonna realize what kind of dad you have to be, or if you're a mom watching this, what kind of mom you have to be when you are reunified. This isn't about social justice or rights. I think all those things should be changed, and you should, compartmentalizedly dedicate a part of your life to change those things so this doesn't happen again. But you have kids that are sick, and I think literally, but let's just say metaphorically, because there's no psychological assessment of this. It's not in the DSM-5. You have kids that are sick that you need to do some things for. Okay, so hopefully that hammers home. We'll probably have more videos on this, but this has affected your kids in catastrophic ways, and it's going to sit with them for the rest of their lives. Now, they could seem well-adjusted, good students, great at sports, and they could also be depressed and have all these sorts of issues. You need to understand that their initial feelings of trust, building relationships, dealing with sadness, dealing with high stress, how to regulate that, All of that is through a filter of somebody else's disorder, which is now theirs, and they need a lot of strength. So let's talk about that. The next thing that we have to realize as dads is our role of a dad changes. Our role of a dad isn't going to be the dad that maybe we dreamt of. Like I always dreamt of having certain relationships with my kids, and I would teach them jujitsu or different forms of meditation or sitting in ice baths. You know, these were big parts of my life in that process. And when I got to see them, I was like, oh my God, you know, 2015 or 14 before ice baths were cool. Like these were a big thing for me. Like I wanted to show them, you know, these things. No, your role of a dad is to now show stability, mental health, regulation of emotions. Maybe you are somebody that gets depressed or you have PTSD or you have anger issues, but your role is to show that you can move past all of that in good ways and that there is a truth and that there is trust. You know, within my groups, we have therapy sessions with therapists that are literally experts in this. And to hear them talk about how much a child needs to rebuild that trust, have stability, and to understand that the therapeutic journey from, let's say, 10 to 15 is one thing. You know, it's going to be dealing with a child's issues and scope of the world at that point. But to build trust in a therapeutic process, to build trust in a father, to build trust in a parent, to be able to see a parent that can go through really hard times and get through them, to see a parent that can be honest about their emotions. Like for a lot of dads who go through this, it's hard for them to be successful in many different areas of life, to be able to still go through that and be honest with their kids about what's going on. And this perhaps is one of the better distinctions in this, is you need to fulfill the role of what a father really is to that child. That child who has been abused. That's what we'll call it, even though psychology may not recognize that. Rather than fulfill a father of what society and your dreams and ambitions might say a father is. And I'm gonna tell you right now that if you fulfill that role of what a child who's sick needs, it's one of the most amazing roles you can fulfill. It's one of the most virtuous things. It really moves to the better part of just being a better human being. Now, I have to also address this. What is keeping you going, what's keeping you alive, what's making you win your court case, fight your court case, whatever all of that stuff is not going to be the same as what you need to do and the shifts you need to make in being a father. Now, we see this dynamic all the time. You know, there's the three wars, okay? The war of the court, the war of the therapeutic healing process, the war of life going on, and all of those conflict with each other. If you try and therapeutically heal or get past some of the things that go into dysfunctional relationships, you know, somebody who's parentally alienating you, it's not going to work in court. Court, you have to be really cutthroat and shrewd. You have to go for certain things, and it may not make moral sense at the time, and there's all this confusion in it. So the dad that needs to make it through a day, come up with coping mechanisms, maybe it's sitting in ice baths, maybe it's doing something athletic, maybe you you fall to a substance abuse or something like that, and please get treatment for that. That's actually what saved me. I was already sober when these things happened. But doing those things take a lot of effort, and usually a dad who can't see his kids then has a lot of time to spend on whatever that is, whether it's functional or dysfunctional. Whatever has gotten you through this path, whatever is making you win now, whatever is your relationship with yourself now, is almost guaranteed to be a shock to the reintroduction with that child. So in all of this, how do we become a parent? How do we become a parent with our new selves? And this is a very, very long topic, and because of that, I started this playlist here. What we're gonna talk about is the reunification process with parental alienation, how to be a good dad afterwards. As you're gonna see through time, that playlist is gonna get populated more and more with different tools for you. And if I know me, because this is a topic that comes up quite a bit on our calls, we'll probably make some course material around it. Check this out, and we'll talk to you soon.